Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Solo's life. Now, a few weeks ago I was very active, and obviously there's been like a 2 or 3 week gap which has been like kind of empty, and I just want to say sorry about that. If anyone follows me on social media at wrestling_chat, you will know that I was actually studying for my JLPT N5, which for anyone who doesn't know is the Japanese, I think it's the Global Japanese Language exam. So I was basically very busy with that, and it's quite ironic because obviously I want to get it done, and I hopefully have passed before my trip to Japan in January for Wrestle Kingdom. But before we get really on the road to Wrestle Kingdom, we finished, I guess, the last big tournament of the year for New Japan, and it was World Tag League. And today, so December 8th, we had the final. So I'm going to do a quick run through of like all the matches that I enjoyed, the storylines, the results, and what that does going into not only the road to Wrestle Kingdom, road to Tokyo Dome, which is coming up towards the end of the month, but also the implications for Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty. So let's get going. So let's start off by saying World Tag League, while I love tag wrestling, has never been one of my favourite tours. I think it's always great, but I think by the end of the year everyone is very tired. It's all a lot going on. And it's a very different pace to what we saw in the Junior Tag League. However, this year was slightly different because, as I mentioned in my preview, it was very different in terms of the layout. I mean, the layout was the same, but in terms of participants. Normally, we have it where World Tag League will consist of people who do not have a match at the Tokyo Dome. Because, while it's not written anywhere, in theory, the World Tag League is for whoever wins to challenge for the heavyweight tag titles at Wrestle Kingdom, similar to Super Junior Tag League and things like that. Obviously, that didn't happen, as we'll speak about, but that meant that normally we don't have people who have singles matches or title matches. However, they scrapped out the window, whether it's because of the lack of teams or they wanted a big draw for this tour. But you had people who had special single matches already, so Tanahashi, Evil, champions, so you had heavyweight champion Zack, Shingo Takagi, Gabe Kidd, who is strong champion. They were all there, which made it very interesting, I believe, and added like an extra excitement to it because you had more people with targets on their back. Normally in these tournaments you just want to pin the tag champions because you want to get the win. You want to have a shot at the title at some point. However, this meant that every champion had a target on their back, and they were basically not only trying to win the tournament, but trying to make sure that they defend their belts in a sense. It was a very interesting tournament. I'm not going to go over all the names who were in it. I might just put it here. I'll see how I feel. But there were people from different factions, and specifically there was a lot of wrestlers from the junior division. I think this was by far from any World Tag League I've watched the most open weight. So we had guys like Jado, Hiromu Takahashi, Taka Michinoku, Taguchi, all teaming with their partners. Now, first thing I want to say, and this is like not a gripe with commentary or gripe with it's a gripe with New Japan in general. This narrative that juniors are less. I know throughout the tournament there were mentions of like, oh, this is the wrestlers as well, like, oh, they're a junior, they can't do it. Oh, it's surprising this happened because they're a junior. While yes, there are divisions in New Japan, I've never liked this idea that heavyweights are more, juniors are less, or you move up to the heavyweights. I've always said this. In particular in this, I find it quite funny because especially in these times, like if you think of Taguchi and Hiromu, they're slightly on the bigger side of the junior division, and in particular they are probably heavier than a few of the heavyweights. Before I want to say anything, let's get rid of that. We don't want any of that heavyweight superiority, especially in this club. In the club, we are fam. I don't know how that works. I probably completely failed. I apologise. So yeah, enough of my babbling. So I'm going to talk about some of the top matches, some of the top players and things going on in this tournament. Now, one of the big ones, there was a nice amount of shocks here. Again, relating to the junior heavyweights, you would expect that if you had a team with heavy and junior, they were going to be the ones who were picking up the pins. This was not the case. As we saw in basically, I think, the first night, the team of Taka and Taichi got the win over IWGP Tag Champions Hanare and Great Okan. Alex Zane and Taguchi. So Taguchi got the pin over Kenta in one of the final matches. Hiromu picked up some amazing wins. So yeah, just a shout out quick like to those matches, because it kind of showcased that juniors and heavyweights, while it is a thing, it's more of like a concept that they choose to go through. We have long gone past the days where if you had a junior and a heavyweight, it would always be the junior who loses, except maybe in the case of if you've got Bushi in the match, but if you get what I mean. But throughout the tournament, there were some really good matches. I'm going to go over it. So, War Dogs versus Bishamon. This was a really good match. Sanada and Gabe Kidd started the tournament less than positive. Like, they were a team basically, I guess, thrown together because Jake Lee was injured. And in the opening matches, they were picking up losses, which Gabe put down to Sanada's lack of motivation or fire. Even since he debuted in LIJ, then was just Five Guys, even now, he has always been that cold skull. He has been tranquilo. I always joke that he's always going to be LIJ at heart. Now, you're facing a Bishamon here. Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto are the epitome of passion and New Japan love and just that fighting spirit. And this match meant it was a really classic babyface versus heel. You had the crowds cheering for Bishamon. You had War Dogs trying to do everything to get the win. And what I love is that Sanada has become a heel, and I've seen his moveset transition with that. Okay, not only does he now not take his shirt off and just wear a crop top, I feel like that is the most heelish you can get. But it's slight things. Like, it's not House of Torture extent. But we saw when he managed to get the opponent in the ropes, hitting it to hit the lower bits. There were a few low dick shots, pulling out the ref. Nothing too insane, but it's what you expect from a heel, and Sanada has linked to that perfectly. And Bishamon proved in this match that they are the pure baby faces when they picked up the win. TMDK, so Zack Sabre Jr. and Oiwa versus Taguchi and Alex Zane. So like I said, we've got heavyweight champion and Oiwa, and then Alex Zane and Taguchi, who's a junior. Now what's quite funny is going into this, people probably thought, this is going to be an easy match, Taguchi's going to get the pin. This match to me proves that yes, Taguchi is the arse man, he's the funky weapon, he is the butt, no pun intended, of all the jokes of New Japan. But he is one of the best and most proficient wrestlers in New Japan. He has not been multiple-time IWGP Juniors champion, multiple-time Junior Tag champion for no reason. He is, while Zack Sabre Jr. we know from submissions, Taguchi is just as good. He's never been a high flyer, but he just combines it with fun antics. Like, whereas you have guys like Yano who predominantly their style will go around the shenanigans and things, Taguchi, we don't call him Big Match Taguchi for no reason. There are things like this that showcase he is still, he might be in his late 40s, one of the best wrestlers in New Japan. And I think that Zack, even going into this, he didn't underestimate Taguchi. He wanted the best, and that's what he got. And it's matches like this that showcase it doesn't matter how big you are, how much muscle you have, your size. When you're on the mat, everyone's the same weight. Like, not literally, but you know what I mean? Everyone's on the same level there. And Taguchi was really giving Zack a run for his money. I feel like I'm going to miss some out because it's been a very long tournament. Like I said, for the first half of it, I was pretty much predominantly focused on my JLPT. But Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes versus Hanare and Great Khan. This obviously was like a retribution match because obviously Empire beat Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes. Now, for the reason this match I brought up was just because of this running storyline with TMDK. So obviously, Hayes and Nichols not only lost the IWGP belts, but they lost the strong belts. And going into this, me included, my predictions were wrong. Surprising. We all expected them to win. We expected them to get win after win. But their tournament was less than ideal. They were picking up losses here, left, right and centre. They got a few wins, but nothing that was of any substance. So they didn't pick up a win over the tag team champions. Mikey Nichols got pinned by Taka Michinoku in the prelim match. And it showcases that, you know what, they might be the best, but when you lose belts, when you lose something huge, you go on a journey. Yes, we saw their chemistry was amazing. They had a lot of fun with Fujita in the prelim matches. But I like this storyline of them, like, they have everything. TMDK were on a huge streak, like, they've done so amazing, they had the belts, but after losing, it's like, they're now trying to struggle. They're like, are we good enough? Can we do this? And the balance of Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes' characters helps that perfectly, because while we know Mikey Nichols is the madman and Shane Hayes is more like fun and chilled, there were moments where we saw that sort of darker side out of Shane Hayes. He was like, wait, like, we're the best, what is happening? So I really enjoyed that. Zack Sabre Jr. and Oiwa versus Bishamon, that was another phenomenal match. We've seen matches between Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroki Goto over the years. Like, hell, I think whenever they have G1 blocks, maybe not this year, but in the past, they've always pretty much been in the same block and always done amazing matches. But then we also saw a really amazing side of Oiwa, and Yoshihashi continues to impress. And I think Bishamon are like the hidden heroes of this tournament. I mean, they've been the heroes of the tag division for years now. But as we noticed, while they didn't get to the finals and they didn't win, they are consistently like two of the best and most consistent wrestlers, both singles and when they're in a team. There was not a single match that they had in this tournament that wasn't good. And for me, if you want to see what tag team wrestling is by two guys who are singles wrestlers, this is the perfect example, because while they spend years as single stars in Chaos together, as they become Bishamon, they changed that. I think they mentioned it on commentary. So, I mean, you probably noticed that their ring gear now is very much in line with each other. But I think it was Haste said that they know when to do their solo and their own moveset, and when they need to combine to make a force to be reckoned with as Bishamon. And that is something that is rare, because it normally takes like a very long time, or you need to really start out as tag team wrestlers for this kind of chemistry. But Bishamon has done it perfectly. Shingo Takagi and Tsuji versus the War Dogs. This was very interesting because obviously Tsuji wasn't in LIJ when Sanada was. Sanada had already gone to Just 5 Guys, but Shingo was with Sanada. So this was sort of like a weird thing. And this was the first time that they faced this new incarnation of Sanada. And this match was phenomenal. You could see that both teams were so fired up. And basically you have like this generation with Shingo and Sanada, with the new guys, with Shingo and, well, not Shingo, with Tsuji and Gabe, who are the future of New Japan. And what I liked was that, because we always say this, when people turn heel, you either have the potential to take the piss, as we saw with everyone in House of Torture, or to really build effectiveness on the character and to make something new. And that is what's perfectly happened with Sanada. People found him a bit distant and a bit boring in LIJ, so he moved to Just 5 Guys. When he got to Just 5 Guys and people found him a bit then he moved to War Dogs. It feels like Sanada knows when he needs to change it up, and I think that is the perfect example of what a good champion, well, not a good champion, but a good wrestler is. However, we also saw some issues within the tag league, not out of anything of the wrestlers or the tournament itself. We saw some injuries happen, all I think on like the same day. So in a prelim match between the Empire and LIJ, we saw Hanare get injured, and this led to, on the final block matches, Okan relinquishing the belts. So we don't know the future of the tag titles at this point, because Hanare, it looked very serious. I don't know what happened. It was on his knee. It was quite interesting because when that happened, you could see the concern in Hiromu and Naito's face. Until then, like, I think Okan realised what happened. He was like, right, okay, we are still wrestlers, and he turned it into an angle. Then later on, in a match with Jeff Cobb, Callum Newman facing Zack Sabre Jr., I tried to rewind it a few times to see what happened, but basically Callum was on the top turnbuckle with Oiwa, and something happened, and like as soon as he came down, he was screaming in pain on his knee, and so he rolled out. They cancelled the match, like it was a X. And again, like, while injuries tend to happen in New Japan, it was the look on both Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr.'s face when they saw Callum. I know at like one point Oiwa actually came down to check on Callum, and I know Cobb was probably like, in a sense, two things: trying to make sure not too many people were around Callum, but also trying to stick to this idea that it's a match. And like Callum, I mean, he pushed away a carrier to take out, but that injury looks serious. So it proves like wrestling is so very much real, and we are in December. It has been a hell of a year with guys like Callum and Hanari basically working their asses off the entire year. And with your body weak, injuries are gonna happen, especially like at this time of year. And like, I'm sending my best to both men, because obviously we've got Wrestle Kingdom coming up and it's the worst possible time to get injured. So yeah, sending my love. And I guess it's been like a string of bad luck for the Empire. But yeah, after all of that, we got to the finals. So block A was quite simple. Gabe Kidd and Sanada got the win. They were top of the block. Block B was a bit more confusing, where we saw Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, Yano and Bolton Oleg, and House of Torches, Evil and Ren Narita all on the same points, with like some advantage here. Like Yano and Oleg had beaten Hiromu and Naito. Hiromu and Naito had beat House of Torture, and it had been all very confusing. So they actually had a triple threat. It was very chaotic. There was handcuffs. Basically, at one point, Hiromu was the only person in the ring with House of Torture, because they'd handcuffed Oleg, Yano and Naito. So then Bushi came out with the key, but then only took off Naito's handcuffs, and then it was all very chaotic. But in the end, Hiromu and Naito got the win, so we were set our final. Hiromu and Naito, LIJ versus War Dogs, Sanada and Gabe Kidd. Again, what I mentioned earlier, this is the first time that Naito and Hiromu were going to be facing this incarnation of Sanada. Now, I personally think that this final match was probably one of my favourite matches of the entire tournament, if not the best match of the entire tournament. It started off with Gabe Kidd and Hiromu, the two younger guys. You could say the two less experienced, that's literally not the case, but you know what I mean? They're the younger guys in the respective teams. They were just chopping each other in the middle of the ring. Gabe was being very naughty and insulting the fact that Hiromu was a junior. We do not do this in this house, Gabriel Kidd. I agree, we do not. But the match itself was amazing. It went very quickly to shitstorm. So Naito was taken out, then he was put through a table, then Hiromu was left to basically fend for himself. He was sent out of the ring, they went into the crowd, and it was a very nice big venue. So it was even more dynamic. I really liked when stuff happens like that. But what was really good was this dynamic between what you thought was the baby faces and the heels, which turned into a battle between the heels and the tweeners. Because I think people seem to forget, as loved as LIJ are, they are not baby faces. They are not afraid to break the rules. So we saw in the middle or towards the closing end of the match, Sanada doing his usual shtick. So when Gabe was almost going to get pinned, Sanada pulled Red Shoes out. Then he accidentally kicked his opponent in the dick. Most people would have just taken that and you would have been like, ugh. But Naito did the exact same thing. He played Sanada at his own game. He was like, you know what, you want to do this? I can do it. And we always want this for people who face House of Torture. Which, to be fair, when House of Torture faced Hontai earlier in the card, Tanahashi went crazy. He was hitting Evil with a chair. I feel like more wrestlers need to be able to give the heels what they give. So it's take and return, isn't it? But the match was so dynamic because at the core, these four are very amazing wrestlers. Naito, as explained in commentary, was now focusing more on ground-based submissions because obviously he knows that his knees are not up to the fast, tranquilo, Stardust genius that he used to be. Hiromu, on the other hand, is still fit and healthy, so he was running around like mad. Sanada, this was probably the most passionate I've seen Sanada since going to Bullet Club. He had a sense of urgency about him, and Gabe's a fucking madman. He obviously wanted to win this. Now, in the end, it seemed quite interesting. So Gabe hit a moonsault, which led to Sanada hitting a moonsault, which had earlier been stopped by Hiromu with his knees. And when it all seemed like Sanada was going to get the pin, Hiromu did like a reversal and got the roll-up victory over Sanada. Now, this is huge, okay, for many different reasons. Hiromu is a junior and he beat Sanada. This is the first time, I believe, that either of them have won World Tag League. Obviously, Naito was a proficient tag champion. He had junior and heavyweight gold with Yujiro Takahashi, if you can believe it. Hiromu has never won World Tag League, but for the Super Juniors with Bushi. And their story has spanned 14 years. They always kept emphasizing this on commentary. that when nobody thought Hiromu had any potential, Naito did. Naito worked with him. And this was like, you could see it in the bond. But I guess the third interesting is, what is the future for this win? We don't have any tag team champions at the moment. We don't know what is going on there. And I guess the big news is after they won the trophies, Naito was like, right, I mean, Hiromu should be in the middle of the ring doing this, but like, he's a bit bad right now, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to step out. And I want to have Naito versus Hiromu at Wrestle Kingdom, January 4th, 2025. This was a match that was meant to happen, but I think it was stopped because of COVID. I think it was meant to happen at the anniversary event in 2020. I believe that was COVID. How was it so long ago? But it didn't happen. And this is unprecedented because in this year alone, Zack won the G1, and while you were meant to challenge at Wrestle Kingdom, he didn't. He did it in Osaka to get the win. Naito and Hiromu have now won World Tag League, but rather than a tag match at Wrestle Kingdom, they have now got a singles match. I personally like it because, as Chris Charlton said in commentary, there is nothing written that you need to challenge at Wrestle Kingdom. And with everything going on, like, you know, with all the discourse around Zack versus Shota as the main event and things going on, it's a very strong card, and how do you make it stronger? Hiromu Takahashi versus Tetsuya Naito. So I personally am very happy about that. However, I will agree with a lot of grievances online. What was the point of the tournament? It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, what happens with the tag belts at Wrestle Kingdom and or Wrestle Dynasty. But I think that we need to get this out of our mind, that like a win in a tournament that has historically led to a match at Wrestle Kingdom has to stay like that, because I think that 2024 leading to 2025 has proven that is not the case. So yeah, that was my quick rundown of the tournament itself. This was the last big tour of the year. People can have a bit of a break now. We have the Road to Wrestle Kingdom coming up in a few weeks, and that is really where we're going to see finalizations of the card for both January the 4th and January the 5th, and hopefully see the storylines come on. The cards are already stacked, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. So yeah, that was my quick rundown of the tournament. What were your thoughts on it? Let me know on social media at wrestling_chat and in the comments. It might not have been the strongest. I personally think it was much stronger than past years. They had some great matches, some great stars, and I think it was a great way to end the year with some of the biggest stars participating in a long leg of matches. And yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be very exciting to see what happens in Wrestle Kingdom. And so this links to me now promoting myself. Make sure to hit like, share the video, and hit subscribe, okay? I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. In less than a month, literally it is the 7th now, by this time next month, I will have gone to Japan, watched Wrestle Kingdom, watched Wrestle Dynasty, and I will be out with videos. I'm going to do previews. I'm going to see if I can do content there. I'm going to do a review after each show, live from Japan, and like a vlog of everything that goes on. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to subscribe. So hopefully you guys enjoyed World Tag League. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my video. It's going to be an interesting few weeks ahead of the Tokyo Dome. So yeah, let's go on this journey together. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.